Hey everybody, Sawyer's House of Games here, Sawyer's House of Cards, and we are here with a new series I'm going to be calling MTG Spotlight. This is essentially going to be a video series where I basically focus on one in particular card, talk about it for a few minutes, give you a little bit of possible insight, maybe some stories, nostalgia, whatever. And the idea of this is just to be a quick video series that I can put out in between my other content to kind of just keep everything flowing nicely. Maybe give you guys a little bit of insight into a card you've never seen before, or people that are maybe give you a little bit of nostalgia for the players that are, familiar with them from back in the day and whatnot. I'm going to try and pick like kind of oddball cards that maybe don't get as much exposure as other cards, like like the obvious ones. And today we're talking about Wood Sage. This is a creature from Tempest block, or Tempest, and it is a 2-mana 1/1, which by itself is pretty weak. 1/1 is definitely below the standard for a 2-drop creature. Plus the fact that it's multicolor, which multicolor usually meant, especially back in the day, it meant that the creature was much harder to cast, and it was kind of usually used as a drawback to kind of balance a creature's power or abilities out. So this creature is a 2 different color mana, green and blue. Costs 1 green, 1 blue, as you can see. And it is a summon druid. Summon, for you guys that are not familiar, summon is basically just a term that Magic the Gathering used to use for creatures. Every creature used to have summon in front of its name, like summon druid, summon elf, summon goblin. It just meant that creature was a creature and that you had to summon it. That was kind of like the act of what you did in order to get that creature on the board. It was also a way to specify creatures from spells, even though technically everything that you play in Magic is a spell until it resolves and it becomes a permanent and whatnot. But anyway, so this card is, like I said, it's a 1/1 for 2. It has a tap ability, which allows it to name a card, a creature card, reveal the top 4 cards of your library to all players. If any of those cards are the name card, put them into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. So this is an interesting card because This kind of effect is kind of interesting because we see it a lot, like the look at top 4 cards, grab a card effect. We see that quite often, with all kinds of different effects. Like, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, find a dinosaur, look at top 4 cards of your deck, find a spell. We see it all the time. But this is interesting because it lets you look for a creature. You have to name the card first, which means your chances of finding that thing are a little bit slimmer because you're not just looking for any creature, you're looking for a very specific creature that you named. So already your chances of finding what you're looking for are a little bit lower unless you have 4 copies, and then it's a little bit higher, but it's still low because that's 4 cards in your 6-card deck. So, but what I find really kind of different about the way this card is worded is that you get all copies of that card put into your hand. So, what's interesting is if you happen to reveal, like, say, 2. If you happen to say like Llanowar Elf and you reveal 2 Llanowar Elves, you get both of those, or you get all 4 of them if you reveal the top 4 cards of your deck are the same card, which means that any kind of effect that allows you to stack the top of your deck is going to be very beneficial with this creature. Things like Sensei's Dividing Top or Goblin Recruiter. Could you imagine playing like a free color deck and just using like a couple of these to go get all your goblins or whatever? That'd be crazy. I mean, you only get 4, but still, it'd be an interesting way to take advantage of this card. The other thing that I like to mention about this card is that it puts the creatures into the graveyard, or it puts the cards that you don't choose into the graveyard, which is a great outlet for for graveyard effects and stuff. Which you don't get that many of them in green-blue, but if you're playing green-blue-black, maybe you could definitely take advantage of that. It's just an interesting older school card with an interesting effect. I love the art. The art is really awesome. I just love like the stuff around his neck. I don't even know what you call that, but it's like some kind of like. Things that are poking out everywhere. The detail on his, his hair, the detail on his suit, like his pants. It almost kind of looks like he has barbed wire wrapped around his pants. Just very interesting design for the character. I love these old school multicolored borders. They just look cool. They look different. Same thing with old school artifact borders. I just love the way they look. And yeah, I mean that's really all I can say about this card. I just wanted to give you guys a quick little tidbit of information. And see you guys on the next one, and hope you guys like these kind of videos, and see you guys later.